I keep my goals to myself, cause whenever I share it with folks, they get a look upon their face and their memory floats to a time where their goals and the stars.
What's good? Let's get into Monday Night Raw from June the 29th, 2026. This was an okay episode of Monday Night Raw. Let's just go ahead and get right into the main event. That's how we'll start the review. So, Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, they had some words. We already knew going into this thing that it was going to be Seth Rollins versus Roman Reigns for the World Heavyweight Championship at SummerSlam. This had been going on and teased for about 2 months, right? That was the whole point of the Braun Breaker feud with Seth Rollins. I get it. Am I a fan of this? Hell no. It's dumb. But Triple H still wants to do his version of Randy Orton versus John Cena in the form of Roman Reigns and Seth Rollins, right? That's their version of Randy Orton and John Cena. That's his version. Just like Vince's version of John Cena and Randy Orton was Brock and Roman. Is it a dumb idea? Yes, it's dumb. But we had known about this for a minute. At least 2 months. Seth Rollins spent weeks and weeks talking about it during his promo. During multiple backstage segments and promos and stuff, he just mentioned, he talked about, the title he never lost. And there's no point in holding off Rollins and Reigns anyway. Go ahead and get the shit out the way so that way we can move on. Because there's no point in harping on this. Once he dispatches of Rollins, then Roman can go on and move on to bigger and better things. I mean, I get people's frustrations, and I'm right there with you. I agree 10,000%. It's dumb, but SummerSlam's in 4 weeks. What do? We knew that this match was going to be inevitable. We already knew. They're not going to do it in September. They're not going to do it Money in the Bank. They're not going to do it at Survivor Series. The perfect time is just to go ahead and do it at SummerSlam and get it out the way. I mean, that's the best thing I can give you guys. Is it dumb? Yes. Like, who wants to see it? But this is where they were going to go with this anyway. So, Roman showed up with Jacob Fatu. Roman wanted New Jersey to acknowledge him, and they do. Then I don't know where Seth Rollins showed up. He interrupted Roman. He said, hello, my brother. He said, 14 years, they've been tied together since the foundation of the Shield. Since the formation of the Shield. Seth Rollins said they can call it fate or destiny, but that they're in this moment in Atlantic City. He said he's in the possession of a title that belongs to him, meaning Roman Reigns. He said it's time for him to come and collect. So Roman tells him that he's confused and he needs to go. He needs to go into the back of the line. He said he hasn't done anything late to earn a shot at him. Seth Rollins said he can play that game with everybody else, but not him. He says when it comes to him, he's always at the front of the line. Seth Rollins said everything he's done and became, you owe him, and he owns he owns Roman. He says he owns him in the ring. He owns him in his head. Pause. He owns him the belt he wears. He said he pinned him and he took his wise man. A year before that, he sacrificed himself to help Cody stop Roman's reign of terror. He said that he's defeated everyone except for one person. Seth Rollins said he could walk it back to the greatest cash-in the history of WrestleMania. He took his main event, and there's not a damn thing that he can do about it. Seth Rollins said that he's owned him since he put a steel chair in his back and ended the Shield. Seth Rollins said he wasn't there to ask him for anything. As a matter of fact, he's there to give him something. He said everything that he is and the fans believe him to be He is that great. He's going to give him the option to do the one thing he's never done in his career, and that's beat him. Seth Rollins says he's there to give him that opportunity. He said he's going to be real with him. This may be their last chance to tie up that loose end. We came to the company together through that crowd. We knocked on the door. We kicked the old generation to the curb, and we made this place our own. We made the greatest generation in the history of this industry. You and me, we did that together. He said they're closer to the end than the beginning, and now there's a new generation ready to do the same thing to them. He said this may be our last chance to do this dance, brother. He said when Roman retires, they should name a wing of the Hall of Fame after him. And asked he probably should be there to induct him. He said if he wanted to retire and have never escaped the ghost of Seth Rollins, and then Seth Rollins says, "What do you say for old time's sake?" Roman says it's been a while since he's heard any truth come out of Seth's mouth. He called him little brother. He said he's right, and that he doesn't want to beat him. He needs to beat him. He said he needs to beat his entire family to witness him. Roman Reigns beating Seth Rollins, and he said at SummerSlam he's going to do just that. So, I like this. This is fine. Do I have a problem with this? Yes, I do. But there's nothing else that can be done. And then Roman Reigns accepts, and then that was the show. Again, am I a fan of this? Hell no. This is dumb. But go ahead and get it out the way. Get this bullshit out the way. Move on. I don't care what they do with Seth Rollins going forward after SummerSlam. I really don't give a shit. I think Seth Rollins needs to take a long leave of absence for a while and find himself. I have not really liked Seth Rollins all that much. Probably since maybe, I'd say since the pandemic. So about 2020, 2021, when he was doing the Monday Night Raw Messiah gimmick. I like that. Other than that, I've not really liked Rollins since then, right? But I understand everyone's frustrations, and I am in agreement with you all 10,000%. But let's just go ahead and get this bullshit out the way. All right, moving on from that. This leads us into another big match for SummerSlam that's going to happen, and that is Brock Lesnar. So, Oba Femi, he kicked off the show. He said the fans' cheers were nice for a ruler, but now he wanted a reception worthy of a king, so the fans pop again. Oba said Jey Uso found out Destiny was on his side, but Destiny wasn't over yet. He said he had a choice to make. So Brock showed up. Music played, got a massive reaction as per usual. So, Brock Lesnar gets on the mic and says, "Ladies and gentlemen, your king of the ring, Oba Femi." He apologized to Oba. He said he didn't watch the show because he doesn't watch the show. He said he once won King of the Ring many years ago. Brock Lesnar said since he doesn't watch the show, Paul Heyman keeps him up to date. And Brock said that Paul Heyman told him that Oba has a decision to make. Brock said Paul Heyman told him that Oba Femi calls him names and when he's not around, such as coward and bitch. Brock says he hears Oba can cut a pretty good promo, and that's something he's never been good at. Never at all. That's why he's got Paul Heyman there. So Brock says, then you know what they say, talk shit, get hit. So Brock kicks Oba in the dick, and then he gives Oba an F5. Lesnar and Paul, they walk up the ramp. Oba said, you're in front of me and you're still a bitch. He told him, he said, they could settle the score one-on-one at SummerSlam. What's it going to be? Lesnar said he accepted, but he wanted it to be a Hell in a Cell match. And that was it. So this is fine. I actually do like this. This is great. Now people are saying, well, Oba, he can't face Roman. It's like, guys, who cares? They're not going to book Roman and Oba a match of that magnitude in 4 weeks. You can't do a match like that in 4 weeks. You got to really begin to build that shit. That's something that could, start at a WrestleMania or even like a Survivor Series, something like that. But come on. Like, we're building to Roman and Oba in 4 weeks. Get the fuck out of here. Hell no. Hell no. So we go backstage and Paul Heyman, he tells Adam Pearce backstage that he stands to make a ton of money with the match of all time for the main event. Talking about Brock and Oba inside Hell in a Cell. So Austin Theory shows up, and he wanted to know what Paul Heyman was doing there. He didn't know he was going to be there. He said that he has a match. He's trying to reach him. So Paul Heyman says to him coldly, "If you didn't know that he's here, now you know." So then he leaves. So there's that. So Adam Pearce runs into Oba Femi, and Oba says he wants his hands on Brock, and it's going to be official. So, there's that. All right, that's fine. Oba says that this has to end. So, Oba said that the title will always be there, and he can take it whenever he wants. Adam Pearce asks if he's sure that's what he wants instead of the title match, and Oba says yes. This has to come to an end. So this is fine. I actually do like this. This does make sense. But why wasn't Seth Rollins why didn't he win King of the Ring? Like, I get it, but I don't know, man. Who really gives a shit, honestly? I could care less. I don't give a fuck about this. I don't. I just don't. Moving on, this leads us into the first match of the night. Rey Mysterio defeats Ethan Page. Match was all right. Match was okay. So there's that. Whatever. Moving on. Judgment Day nonsense. So they destroyed Danhausen's lab, basically. So there's that. I don't give a fuck about this shit. Moving on. The Street Profits, they show up along with Joe Hendry. Joe Hendry ended up doing a concert with the Street Profits. The Street Profits, they put over Seth Rollins for helping them out last week to win the tag team titles and everything, yada, yada, yada. So then Austin Theory comes out, he interrupts and everything. And so then this leads us into Joe Hendry versus Austin Theory. Joe Hendry defeated Austin Theory, so he wins via the standing ovation. I don't care about this at all either. This is garbage. Moving on, this leads us into Raquel Rodriguez. So she approaches Adam Pearce backstage, and she wanted a shot at the IC title. Adam Pearce said she's not the only one asking for opportunities, such as Maxine Dupree. Raquel, she didn't propose the match against Maxine. Adam Pearce made it official. And then Liv Morgan and Roxanne Perez, they walk up to her and said they have a problem to talk about, such as Io Sky coming after her, plus the Danhausen curse. And then Raquel says that she's got Liv's back. So whatever. I don't care about this at all either. Who gives a shit? Moving on, this leads us into Io Sky. She basically talks in Japanese and everything else, saying that she's going to beat Liv at SummerSlam. Liv comes out. She has some quick words with Io. Then this leads us into before that, Liv said that it's dangerous for others, including Finn Balor and Stephanie Baker. So Liv said that she doesn't respect Io, and that she's pissed her off, and she's on her bad side. So then Raquel and Roxanne, they jump Io. Io's able to get the upper hand for a brief moment, and then she succumbs to the numbers, and they beat the shit out of her, and then that was it. Who really gives a damn about this? Whatever. Moving on from that, this leads us into Jimmy Uso. He defeats LA Knight. So Solo shows up. No. My bad. LA Knight, he gets into it with Jay. Jay's on commentary. So LA Knight, he pushes Jay, and then he gets rolled up by Jimmy. Jay and LA Knight, they begin to brawl. Solo shows up, hits a Samoan spike onto Jimmy like he did last week. So there's that shit. They're still continuing that garbage. Again, I still think it's going to end up being probably LA Knight, Solo Sikoa, and maybe like a Powerhouse Hobbs or Will Hobbs taking on the Bloodline minus Roman Reigns. So the Usos and Jacob Fatu at SummerSlam. That's probably what's going to happen anyway. I know I said it's going to probably be Tama Tonga and Hikuleo taking on the blood and Solo taking on the Bloodline, but that's probably not going to happen. So whatever. I don't know. I don't really care. Actually, no. Believe it or not, scratch that. I think it's going to end up being probably Jay and LA Knight at SummerSlam. That's probably what's going to end up happening. So whatever. I don't care about this at all either. Moving on from that, this leads us into what else happened on this damn show. Okay. So the Usos, they're backstage. They confront Jacob Fatu. They ask where has he been. Jacob says he only takes orders from Roman Reigns. He said that he's going to SmackDown. Jay said since Oba isn't challenging Roman, he's going to bring the gold back to the Bloodline. So, there's that. Whatever. I don't care about this. I really don't. Clearly, it's probably going to be Jay and Sammy at SummerSlam. Where does this lead Cody? I have no fucking idea. I have no fucking idea. And moving on from that, this leads us into Lyra Valkyria. She had a vignette backstage promo. So she was ranting and justifying and rationalizing turning on Bayley. Lyra said there's a huge gap between who she is and who she can be. Lyra said it felt so good to close the gap just a little bit last week. Whatever. I don't give a damn about this shit. I really don't. Moving on. This leads us into Maxine Dupree. She was backstage. She walked past Chad Gable. She paused after passing him and turned back to him. She said she meant every word she said last week, but she's sorry how she handled it. Chad Gable said that she doesn't owe him an apology or forgiveness. He said that she can forgive him if she ever wants to when she's ready, and he told her to go focus on her match. Whatever. Raquel Rodriguez defeats Maxine Dupree. Don't really care. Moving on from that, more Judgment Day nonsense. So they destroyed Danhausen's lab, yada, yada, yada. I don't care. And moving on from that, main event of the evening wrestling-wise, Chad Gable defeats JD McDonough. Who gives a fuck? And that was Monday Night Raw. Again, this show was boring and bland. I did like the Roman Seth Rollins stuff. That was okay. Oba and Brock was fine. So them setting up stuff for SummerSlam makes perfect sense. Again, SummerSlam's in 4 weeks. I understand people's complaining, but we all knew this is where this was going to... we all knew that we were going to get Roman and Rollins. We already knew that, right? There's nothing we can do. There's fuck nothing there's fuck all nothing we can do at all. There's nothing we can literally do. But I'm hoping that this is literally the last time these two wrestle each other, because this is nauseating. It's extremely nauseating. I can't stand this shit. I can't. Clearly, Brock and Oba is going to main event night 1, and night 2 is going to be main evented by Roman and Rollins, so there's that. I have no idea what they're going to do with Cody going into SummerSlam. Don't really know. Clearly they're going to go probably Sammy for the WWE Championship at SummerSlam, more than likely. I don't know what Cody's going to be doing. We'll have to wait and see what he does. Same thing with Gunther. But all in all, Monday Night Raw was kind of a bore, minus Oba and Brock and Roman and Rollins, and that was it. So what do you guys think of the show? Let me know. Like, comment, subscribe. Peace.